Game of Thrones, Witcher, Berserk, every show in this genre are failing for a very simple reason. These showrunners think they know better than the audience and the actual creators of the story. Fits, profits, and profits. They don't even have a 10-year plan, to be honest. There is no storytelling in these shows because, okay, in the recent past, I have noticed that the dark medieval fantasy genre is completely failing really hard, and there are reasons why this genre is failing so brutally. Okay, so now since I have your attention, I'll slow down things for you. I'll slow down all the fast paced editing and make things more clear for you so you do realize that what I actually want to say. So let's start that how because of these five reasons and how algorithm has destroyed the dark medieval fantasy genre. Okay, so the first and biggest problem with these shows are actually that they are really expensive to make, and the producers who bet every single penny on these shows need something in return, especially the profits. So when these shows are made, these are really expensive. There are really heavily made CGI, set designs, even the costume designs, and actually a hell lot of huge cast. And this fantasy genre is the worst genre to pull off because you have to think a lot of stuff, from bringing the characters alive to the plot points of these stories, from snowy areas and huge trolls and everything, dragons, everything needs money to make all this. And the producers of this show need something on whatever they are invested in. So this is the biggest reason why these shows are actually failing. Producers are dumping down the content because these shows are not only expensive but these are only focused for a specific genre. I mean specific people who love this genre, but it doesn't work out. Why? Well, the problem is that these shows are actually not meant for the masses. These are really political heavy shows. These are really dark shows which are not meant for everyone, and dumbing down is the only possible way. This problem has been faced by many places. I mean a lot of shows, from Dune to The Last of Us. Outside this genre as well, these problems have been a very common thing. So what are those shows that actually face problem in this genre? Well, there are a hell lot of shows, from Shadow and Bones, The Witcher, and a lot. So yeah, you guys have to understand that these are an actual really big problem. So what are the next few problems? Let's get to know. Again, so the next big problem is the partial rights. These stories have really partial rights. I mean, they don't even clear the full rights. The author, the owners of these comics, graphic novels and novels, they really never actually completely give the rights to the creators. So because of this, there are chances where the creators have to come up with a new story, new storylines, and those are not appreciated by the actually core audience, the core fan base who loved those stories on the basis of the original source material. So because of this mismatch, there are a lot of times when things actually go really bad. I mean the worst that could ever happen. So what are those examples of these shows that actually never got rights to create its complete storyline? Well, I would say that Rings of Power, which was taken from Lord of the Rings books, novels, were actually the biggest example. I mean, they never had complete rights to the greatest storylines of these novels. So the show had to come up with something new, and because of that, they actually fucked up. And to be honest, Rings of Power is not a good show, at least for me who has read the novel. Okay, so the next big problem in these shows actually comes from the creators' side. The creators have two different mindsets. One is that they know better than the original source material, and second, they think that no, the original source material is better than what they think. And the first problem, which I said, that the creators of these shows think that they know better than the original creators, this mindset actually harms to the show. How? So these creators think and write, innovate something new from their own end, because of which the original source material, which fans, the whole community fan base actually loved, they all hate it. I mean, genuinely they hate it. So because of this one reason, there are times when shows actually go really worse and go par, south par, in terms of bad, inconsistent writing. What are the shows? Game of Thrones season 8 is the biggest example in the history of cinema, that how one bad decision can fuck your whole legacy project. So yeah, if there is any better downfall than Game of Thrones, comment down below. But there are more shows, actually there are a lot of shows, but still Game of Thrones is considered the worst of a legacy burners of all time. They burn their legacies on their own terms. So yeah. So the next big problem comes from lack of planning and vision. I mean, these shows are actually dumbed down a lot, as I said previously, but they actually never have a whole 10-year plan, that where will this show actually start and where will it end. Because of this one huge problem, there are times when these shows really fuck up really hard. I don't have much examples of this, but I think the biggest example of all of this is The Witcher again. The Witcher show actually started originally, completely respecting the source material, but by the end of season 2, they did things really good. But out of the source material, they made something. But by season 3 and season 4, they actually didn't know that where they have to end. Their whole story was shattered all over the place, and nothing made sense. At least for me as a writer, season 3 felt like the worst way of communicating your story without saying the story inside the story. There was lot of things happening here and there, but what was happening they never say. Yeah, so these shows actually never have and lack of planning. So this is the reason why this genre is completely failing a lot. And again, this paradox completely loops back when I say you that producers also come and invest and they want profits. These things can never go from one place to another. This is an inevitable paradox at this point. So yeah, these shows are actually played really safe. They slow down everything. Character deaths are really bad. If some character is famous, they have no balls to kill it. I mean, they killed Jon Snow and revived him back because he was a popular character. I mean, come on, man. Don't play safe. These shows are actually meant to go south par, and bring the worst emotions felt to the audience, because these shows are meant to be dark and gritty. Come on, it's completely called as Dark Medieval Fantasy Genre. You're ruining it for the very name that it is called for. And apart this playing safe, the biggest problem comes from the fan base, and these fan base are sometimes true, but sometimes I don't know. When House of Dragon came out and those politics were shown, people were not ready to accept things, and I don't know, man. But yeah, fan base do contribute in the downfall of their own shows that they create. Well, let's see, can we actually get a good show? And also, I put Berserk and Vagabond and lot more shows on the thumbnail. So how did they get an adaptation? Well, as I said, these shows are really hard to make. The art is so dark and so detailed that creating this into an anime, especially in this time where we are getting PNGs walking on the road, it's gonna be a one hard time to digest a dark medieval fantasy genre show that would be loved by everyone. Let's see, where can we go? Bye.